Greetings. My name is Annika. Welcome to a place to remember who you are, your power, why you came, all of these things. Tonight's video, I don't know if you can hear the sirens, is about the 144,000. Maybe you clicked on this video because you resonate as being a part of the 144,000, or maybe you just felt an intuitive ping, or you randomly ended up here, but there are truly no coincidences in this divine simulation. So welcome. If you're watching this video, you're most likely a part of the 144,000. I don't know if this is the first time I came across the concept fully, but this is when it started to weave its way into my own personal narrative. So I was at a friend's house. They were having a Shabbat dinner. It was this like beautiful celebration, and we were all singing, we were hanging out. She had this incredible home with all of this art all over it, with all of these ascended masters, and it was so beautiful. If you're into the celestial starseed artwork, I'm sure you've seen some of this before. It's all by this guy named Marius. I'll put the link for his website in the description. Such incredible, powerful art of all the ascended masters, so many enlightened beings. And she had this huge painting of, I'm going to show you what it is. This image is kind of blurry, but this is essentially what the image was. And I saw it on her wall, and I'm one of those people where if I see something and I recognize it beyond a cognitive knowing, it's almost like this claircognizance thing where this whole part of me like remembers and is activated when I see certain things. And that was one of them. I was so drawn to it, and I immediately asked her, I was like, what is this? Where is this? And she was like, oh, this is the planet Venus. And this is Sunat Kumara before he, like right as he volunteered to go to Earth to save the planet from basically being dissolved back into source, because the spiritual flame on the planet had almost gone out. And he volunteered to go and keep the flame. And so this is the 144,000 gathering around him as he volunteers to go and deciding to go with him to help. And I was so fascinated. And I remember doing all this research into what had gone on. And that's when I came across this story. And so I'm going to read it to you. This is going to be a story time, because I'll let you decide what you think about it, what you feel about it. Maybe this will activate something in you particularly, but no pressure. Just enjoy a cup of tea, hang out, listen to it when you're on your walk, when you're meditating, whatever works for you. But I'm reading this story from his website, mariusfineart.com, and I'll link that in the description as well. Because shout out, this is not something that I wrote. This is a little read and relax segment. Okay. Sunat Kumara. Sunat Kumara is the great guru of the seed of Christ throughout the cosmos. He and Lady Master Venus are the hierarchs of planet Venus, and he is one of the 7 holy Kumaras, Lord of Flame, who represents the 7 rays on Venus. He initiates us onto the path of ascension. Since the darkest hours in the Earth's history, Sunat Kumara has been with us as the Lord of the world. At that time, Earth's evolution had lost all contact with the God Flame, and there was no one to keep the flame of Christ consciousness alive. Earth was at the point of dissolution. Sunat Kumara offered to hold the balance for the entire planet and on behalf of every living soul until the time when a sufficient number of individuals were once again able to establish and maintain direct contact with the divine. When the Venusians heard the news, a great joyous shout went up. 144,000 beings of light came to join and support their lord, Sunat Kumara. This is the episode portrayed in this painting. 400 of these, who formed the avant-garde, went ahead to build the magnificent retreat Shambhala on White Island in the Gobi Sea, the present Gobi Desert. Sunat Kumara established the focus of the threefold flame at Shambhala and resided there in the physical for many centuries. Here's Sunat Kumara's story in his own words. So I'll get to this story. Previously to reading this story, I had a really good, very spiritually evolved friend named Cassidy. Shout out Cassidy. And I had remembered that she had told me that she was from the planet Venus. And I was like, oh, that's fascinating. I didn't know that was one of the starseed origins, the planet Venus. And I was like, I really resonate with Venus because I'm a Libra, Sun, Taurus, Moon, Taurus rising. It's ruled by Venus. And I always catch Venus in the sky. And oftentimes when I see a really bright star, I'll take out my Sky Guide app if I'm feeling a vibe with it and check what star it is. And time and time again, it was always Venus. Now I can just tell, you can tell. You start to get to know them and their vibe and their look and their projection and when they come out. Something else is Shambhala. Many of you might have heard of Shambhala. It's talked about in many spiritual traditions, very specifically Buddhism, and it's brought into this story as well. So we're gonna start the story officially. Oh, it's just a little prelude. Okay. You call me Sunat Kumara, and you know me as the one who stood before the Cosmic Council, known as the Council of the 144. You know me because you were witnesses to my plea made for and on behalf of the evolutions of Earth who no longer knew the presence of the Lamb, who by disobedience were cut off from the living Guru. You know me as the one who volunteered to embody the threefold flame within the earth unto the evolutions, evolving within the 7 planes of being: fire, air, water, and earth. The Cosmic Council had decreed the dissolution of Earth and her evolutions because the souls of her children would no longer worship the Trinity in the threefold flame of life, burning upon the altar of the heart. They had become the sheep gone astray, their attention fixed upon the outer manifestation. They had willfully, ignorantly abandoned the inner walk with God. They knew not the hidden man of the heart, the blessed Ishwara. The 7 candles no longer burned in the 7 windows. Men and women had become hollow, their chakras black holes in time and space, and their vacated temples became the tombs of the dead, and the spirits of the dead took up their abode within their hollowed out houses. Thus they received the judgment of the 144, even as their descendants would hear the denunciation of the Son of God. Thus the light of the temples had gone out, and the purpose to which God had created man to be the temple of the living God was no longer being fulfilled. One and all were the living dead, a matter vessel without an ensouling light, an empty shell. Nowhere on earth was there a mystery school, not a chela, not a guru, no initiates of the path of initiation unto Christhood. The hour of judgment had come, and the one seated upon the throne in the center of the 12 times, 12 hierarchies of light had pronounced the word that was the unanimous consensus of all. Let earth and her evolutions be rolled up as a scroll and lit as a taper of the sacred fire. Let all energies misqualified be returned to the great central sun for repolarization. Let energy misused be realigned and recharged with the light of Alpha and Omega, once again to be infused by the Creator within the ongoing creation of worlds without end. The requirement of the law for the saving of Terra, Earth. It was the one who should qualify as the embodied Guru, the Lamb, should be present in the physical octave to hold the balance and to keep the threefold flame of life for and on behalf of every living soul. It is the law of the one that the meditation of the one upon the eternal Christos may count for the many until the many once again become accountable for their words and their works and can begin to bear the burden of their light as well as the karma of their relative good and evil. I choose to be that one. says Sunat Kumara. I volunteer to be a flaming sun of righteousness unto earth and her evolutions. After considerable deliberation, the Cosmic Council and the Nameless One gave their approval of my petition, and the dispensation for a new divine plan for earth and her evolutions came into being. For cosmic law so states that when a hierarch of certain degrees and dimensions of cosmic consciousness volunteers to be the shepherd of life waves that are the lost sheep, the petition must be granted. When there is no guru, there can be no chelas. When there is no shepherd, there can be no sheep. As it is written, smite the shepherd and the sheep are scattered. But the guru may be given opportunity to be guru only for a certain cycle. And if at the end of that cycle, the members of a life wave, by their recalcitrance and hardness of heart, have not responded as chelas to the heart flame of the guru, then the guru must withdraw, and that which might have been may not be, and to no other hierarch then will the dispensation be given. Essentially one chance, and one chance only. Thus I knelt before the great white throne of the Nameless One, and he said unto me, My son Sunat Kumara, thou shalt sit upon the great white throne before the evolutions of earth. Thou shalt be to them the Lord God in the highest. Verily, thou shalt be the highest manifestation of the deity, which shall be given unto them. Through the path of initiation, their souls shall rise to thy throne of awareness and stand before thee in praise of the I am that I am, which thou art. In that day, when they rise up and say, Blessing and honor and glory and power be unto him that sitteth upon the throne and unto the Lamb forever and ever, behold, their redemption draweth nigh. And he said unto me, Thus unto the evolutions of earth thou shalt be Alpha and Omega, the beginning and ending, saith that I am that I am, which is and which was and which is to come, the Almighty. And he placed upon me his mantle of sponsorship of the Father unto the Son, which would become in me his sponsorship of a life wave that he now made my own. It was a trust, it was the initiation of the Father in the Son. And I knelt before the Nameless One, and I worshipped God, saying, Thou art worthy, O Lord, to receive glory and honor and power, for thou hast created all things, and for thy pleasure they are and were created. And he, the great Guru, repeated the approbation, thus completing the circle of devotion. He acknowledged the light that he and he alone had placed within my heart as the flaming image of himself. And to that image he said, Thou art worthy, O Lord, to receive glory and honor and power, for thou hast created all things, and for thy pleasure they are and were created. Thus I am in the Father, and the Father is in me, and we are one, worlds without end. And without that oneness, there can be no petition and no dispensation, no matter what your level of evolution. And the Council of the 144, forming a single solar ring around the great right throne, intone the word with the great beings of light, forming the inner circle around the throne and saying, Holy, 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 Lord God Almighty, which was and is to come. And I heard the echo of the chant, Holy, 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 all the way home to the morning star, to my twin flame, who you know is Venus, and to the sons and daughters of the love star. Winged messengers of light had announced my coming and the disposition of the Cosmic Council and the dispensation granted. The six, my brothers, the holy Kumaras, who sustain me with the seven flames of the seven rays, mighty Victory and his legions, our daughter Meta, and many servant sons and daughters whom you know today as the ascended masters, welcomed me in grand reception. That evening, the joy of opportunity was mingled with the sorrow that the sense of separation brings. I had chosen a voluntary exile upon a dark star, and though it was destined to be Freedom's star, all knew it would be for me a long, dark night of the soul. Take it back now, y'all. Then all at once from the valleys and the mountains there appeared a great gathering of my children. It was the souls of the 144,000 approaching our palace of light. They spiraled nearer and nearer as 12 companies singing the song of freedom, of love, and of victory. Their mighty chorusing echoed throughout elemental life, and angelic choirs hovered nigh. As we watched from the balcony, Venus and I, we saw the 13th company robed in white. It was the royal priesthood of the order of Melchizedek, the anointed ones who kept the flame and the law in the center of this hierarchical unit. When all of their numbers had assembled, ring upon ring, surrounding our home, and their hymn of praise and adoration to me was concluded, their spokesman stood before the balcony to address us on behalf of the great multitude. It was the soul of the one you know and love today as the Lord of the world, Gautama Buddha. And he addressed us, saying, O Ancient of Days, we have heard of the covenant which God hath made with thee this day, and of thy commitment to keep the flame of light until some among earth's evolution should be quickened and once again renew their vow to be bearers of the flame. O Ancient of Days, thou art to us our Guru, our very life, our God. We will not leave thee comfortless. We will go with thee. We will not leave thee for one moment without the ring upon ring of our chelaship. We will come to earth. We will prepare the way. We will keep the flame in thy name. And so as the Lord of God directed me, I chose from among them 400 servant sons and daughters who would precede the 144,000 to prepare for their coming. For though they knew the darkness of the darkest star, in reality they did not know, as I knew, the real meaning of the sacrifice which they were now offering to make in the name of their Guru. We wept in joy, Venus and I, and all 144,000. And the tears that flowed on that memorable evening burned as the living sacred fire, glowing as the water of life from the great white throne and the cosmic council, our sponsors. I shall come again to continue with the history that unfolds from the folds of the garment of the memory of the Ancient of Days. O my children, I am still your Sunat Kumara. That's Sunat Kumara. And maybe you've heard of him, and if you haven't, you'd have to wonder why, right? You'd think he would be more well known. I'm gonna read one more thing. This is from keepersoftheflame.org. Remember your story and claim your destiny. Long ago, the Cosmic Council had decided upon the dissolution of Earth and her evolutions. This great karma came about because the souls of her children no longer worshiped the Trinity in the threefold flame of life burning upon the altar of the heart. They had become sheep gone astray, their attention fixed upon outer manifestation, and willfully, ignorantly abandoned their inner walk with God. It was the most critical moment that Sunat Kumara, known as the Ancient of Days, volunteered to exile himself upon the dark star of Earth. And through the ages, he became the keeper of the flame on behalf of a suffering, unenlightened humanity. It is for this great sacrifice that Sunat Kumara is known as the Great Bodhisattva. Sunat Kumara established his physical retreat on the White Island in the Gobi Sea, now the Gobi Desert. And from there, at Shambhala, he extended a thread of light to everyone's heart so he could keep the flame of life on their behalf, until the few and eventually the many would remember their reason for being and learn once more again to keep the flame themselves. But Sunat Kumara did not come alone. 144,000 souls volunteered to come with him to help him fulfill his mission. You may be feeling a deep inner longing to fulfill your mission, and that's because the story of Sunat Kumara is your story. If you feel in your heart that you are one of the 144,000 who came with him to Shambhala, you are. Whether you do feel a resonance with being a part of the 144,000 who came down here to help Sunat Kumara, or whether you feel as if you are just one of those beings who picked up resonance with that awakening of the flame within. Now your flame is awake. Once your flame is awake, you're a flame keeper. You tend to that flame and you therefore light the flame within others. And one by one, we awaken. And one by one, we take responsibility for ourselves, our own actions, our own lives, our own flame. We walk in integrity. We take responsibility for our consciousness, our actions, our vibration that we offer to become a part of the collective fabric of vibrational reality. And that is the essence of being a keeper of the flame, the essence of being part of the 144,000. It doesn't matter if you were a part of it or not, you forget when you come down here. So much of this game of life is a remembering. And then when you remember to embody that truth day after day, because it's not just remembering once. We remember and then we forget, and we remember and we forget. And that is what makes it such an earth school down here. And it can be so fun and it can be so magical, but it takes a little bit of grit. And when we do it together and when we find each other, we become exponentially more powerful. So if you made it to the end, I mean, that's that. I think we already know. Hello, sister and brother of the 144,000. Welcome. I love you. I see you. May you be blessed. May you prosper. And may you be supported in ecstatically keeping the flame for the rest of your victorious life on earth and beyond. Much love.